Well, welcome, Grace City Church. We are so pleased that you've joined us this morning. And if you are new and just checking us out, then we're really delighted to have you here with us. I'm Sandy.
And I'm Glenn.
And we're part of the leadership team here at Grace City Church. And we are delighted to be speaking to you this morning about a subject that is really close to our heart. We feel really passionate about it, and actually it's what gives us purpose, both individually and as a couple.
Yeah.
When Glenn and I first got married, we realized early on that we both loved people, we both really enjoyed socializing, and we used to have lots of dinner parties in those days, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where we'd have 3-course meals and clean the house, get the kids to bed and have our friends over, and that's all it really was about enjoying our friends' company. But I'd say as we've got more involved in church and as we've moved to Sydney and become leaders of the welcome team here at church, I'd say things have really changed. Definitely. In the way we've done hospitality.
Definitely.
And I guess as we've practiced it more and more, we've really felt that we've grown a gift of hospitality. And it's really the intention or the purpose behind how we practice hospitality that has been different. And I think having understood how we have received God's hospitality, we were once strangers, we're now part of his family. That's just an incredible thing. And having understood that, I think the practice of hospitality now is really to show the hospitality to others, having received God's hospitality ourselves.
Absolutely, and it reminds me of the verse where freely we have received, and freely we need to give.
Yeah, so this really underpins our practice of hospitality today. And at the end of Psalm 23, it says that we will live in the house of the Lord forever. So just imagine that, for all eternity, we will be experiencing and enjoying God's hospitality.
Hallelujah. So why are we talking about hospitality today? Well, we're told to practice hospitality in the Bible. In Romans 12:13, it says, share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. And in 1 Peter 4 verses 9 to 10, it says, offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Use the gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. So let's unpack these scriptures a little bit. Clearly, we all should do it. And practice means it's a continuous an ongoing thing. It's not a one-off. And we should be continuously showing love to others. It also says we should do it without grumbling, which means sometimes it could be sacrificial, or it may not always be convenient. For some, it's a spiritual gift that they've received. And with all spiritual gifts, we should use that to serve others. All gifts are used to serve others. When serving others, not only will they be blessed, but we will be blessed too as we serve them. And the most important thing is that God will be glorified through our actions.
Yeah, and actually the context of these verses is interesting, because in both the 1 Peter verse and the Romans verse, the verse just before these is about love. And it's so the 1 Peter one, it says, above all, love each other deeply. And the Romans verse, the one before, says, honor one another in love and honor others above yourself. So it's really a way for us to show love and care to each other.
Yeah.
That's really the heart behind hospitality, is actually loving our neighbors. And after the command to love God, it's actually the greatest command of all.
Yeah.
So not only is it about opening your heart up to others, but it's actually also about a spirit of generosity. I love this quote about the practice of hospitality. It says, living thoughtfully and generously towards others to ensure they feel welcome, included, and loved. So it involves giving of yourself. It's actually a perfect antidote to self-centeredness.
Definitely.
It's really, being outward looking and noticing the people that God has put across your path. It's about caring for those people. that God places in your life. I actually believe the parable of the Good Samaritan is really a perfect example of someone who had an amazing gift of hospitality, the way he cared for and looked after and had compassion for that injured man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if hospitality begins with a generous spirit and an open heart, it certainly extends to having an open home.
Absolutely. Jesus was always in and out of people's homes.
He was.
Enjoying hospitality and enjoying meals.
Yeah, he was. It's really special to be invited into someone's home, isn't it? Especially if the host makes you feel really welcome and he shows genuine interest in you, and you just feel like part of the family. You feel like you can be yourself and you feel at home there. It makes you feel like you want to stay a bit longer and come back again. That's how we really build community and how we reflect God's character.
So let's have a look at, now that we've covered the why we should practice hospitality, let's explore what the Bible says about who we should invite. There's a story in the Gospel of Luke where Jesus has been invited to the home of a prominent Pharisee for a Sabbath meal. And we pick that up in Luke 14 verse 12. And Jesus says, "Then Jesus said to the host, 'When you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends, brothers or sisters, your relatives or rich neighbors. If you do, they may invite you back, and so you will be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, and you will be blessed. Although they can't repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous.'" So what is Jesus saying here? Well, he's saying, let's not just invite our friends, our relatives, or people who can pay us back. Let's invite strangers into our homes with no expectations of any payback, and let's treat them like family. Strangers could be people you don't know at church. It could be people who don't have family here and are alone on big holidays like Christmas or Easter. It could be neighbors or people from your neighborhood. It could be random people you meet in your daily life when God prompts you to practice hospitality. It could be at work, it could be at school, or it could be in your neighborhood. It could also be people in need. There are so many people who are longing for connection in our community at the moment, and a lot of people are struggling with mental health issues at this time. So, coming back to the Bible again, just looking at Hebrews 13 verses 1 to 2, what it says is, "Keep on loving one another's brothers and sisters. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers. For by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." So you never know who God is going to put in your life. You don't know what impact they'll have on you. You also don't know what impact you'll have on them and on their lives for kingdom purposes, or what impact your actions will have on them or on people that observe you practicing hospitality. You may inspire somebody to actually do the same. All Jesus asks of us is to be obedient, and he will do the rest. So now that we've touched on hospitality in the home, what are some of the other ways we can practice hospitality?
Yeah, there are lots of different places and situations you can practice hospitality, certainly not just in the home. In fact, Romans 12:13 in the Message translation talks about being inventive in hospitality. So let's look at a few examples. Well, at work, if you have a new colleague, make them feel really welcome and show them where the all-important coffee machine is. How about at school or uni? If you have a good group of friends, but you can see that someone's been left out or on the fringe, or maybe they're new to the school, show them hospitality and be friendly and, include them in your group. And maybe if you go out or socialize, don't forget to invite them. It can happen in your neighborhood or the school gate or at the local park. Be friendly, be proactive, ask someone for their phone number, be bold and phone them if you get their number and follow up with what you say you'll do. also, obviously, at church, it's a place that we really, really need to be warm and welcoming and really friendly to visitors, to people you don't know. So how about introducing yourself to someone you don't know? Show an interest in them, really make an effort to get to know them. And actually what really we find works really well is for you then to introduce them to someone else, because the more connections they have, the better. We found actually that a lot of people stay in church and join the church because of the friendly people there and the connections that they make. So let's make it something that we all do and not just the welcome team. And some people don't have homes, so you have to be creative with the way you get around people and show hospitality. It may be that you invite them to go for a picnic at the lake, or just go out for coffee or a walk. I know that Melissa King, she has had the FPers on a road trip. She's invited them to the Blue Mountains and taken them for a drive out there. So that's showing hospitality. It's just being creative and inventive. It really starts by opening your heart to the people that God puts in front of you in your life, and simply extending an invitation. And you never know when a stranger will become a good friend.
Yeah.
So we've covered the whys and the whos, and let's get a bit practical and talk about the how of hospitality. So there are two main ways we've found to practice hospitality. The one is to be strategic and to really plan it, and the other is to be spontaneous. So firstly, the way you plan hospitality is really to think about it, to pray about it, to think about who you're going to invite firstly. So what Glenn and I do is at the back of my diary, we write people's names down as we feel God prompting us, or as we think about people, perhaps at work or church or in our neighborhood. We just write their name down, and then when we're thinking of having people over, we have a look and we discuss combinations that might work. Who's going to connect with who, mixing people up. And we certainly think about having different, not just couples over. It's a real challenge, to have families over if you don't have children, or have singles and various demographics. So it's good to really think about who to invite, mix it up. And even if you are having a family over and you've got children yourself, get them to get involved. Showing hospitality to those children of that family. We were really blessed by a family at the church who had our family over for a barbecue when we had first come to Sydney. And this is an example of real strategic hospitality, because they invited other families from church whose children were in the same school as ours. And that was just incredibly thoughtful, and we were so blessed by that.
Definitely.
Then next, it's good to consider what will work best. So once you know who you want to invite, think about what will work best. Will it be a meal midweek or weekend? Will it be, just maybe afternoon tea, or perhaps watching a football game, or, just going for breakfast or going for a walk or coffee? But work out what will work best for that group of people that you want to invite, and really pray for the connections and the conversations that will take place. The next way of hospitality is spontaneous. So I think youngsters are probably better at this than we are.
Definitely.
They don't really like to be planned, and they tend to be really spontaneous in their hospitality. But I'd say it's really seeing who God puts in front of you. It's about recognizing a need, or and actually responding with kindness and friendliness to that person. And an example could be that you're at church and you invite a family to come back for lunch with you. I know that Davin and Carmen experienced this from Sam and Chloe Young. When they first met them at church, they just said, hi, come back for lunch with us, and they were really blessed. Another example is recently I was playing tennis with my friend, and there were two men playing on the next court, and we ended up playing doubles together. And the one guy was saying that he and his wife were recently here from Canada and didn't have many friends, so I spontaneously asked them for their numbers so that I could contact them to invite them over for a meal, which I did. And it's always good to follow up when you say these kind of things.
Yep.
And we had them over for a meal, and it was a really fun evening, and we really enjoyed that. And who knows where that may
conversation,
land.
where that will go.
Yeah. And you had a situation recently where you were surfing, and
absolutely, yeah. So I met a guy in the surf. He's stuck up here through COVID, and he's from Torquay. We've surfed together a few times. I've met him looking at the surf. And I just felt God prompting me to invite him around for drinks. He's here on his own, and I invited him with some friends that we know, and it was a fantastic evening. We got to know him a bit better. He got to know a few people from Narrabeen a bit better. And through that, we've developed a friendship, and now we can go deeper in our conversations, and who knows where those conversations will lead to. So, sometimes when God prompts, you just need to be obedient.
Yeah. So whether it's planned or spontaneous, remember to keep it simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't make it stressful. It doesn't have to be cordon bleu food. It certainly doesn't. You don't have to have an immaculate home. Lower the bar. Take the pressure off yourself. I've got a friend who's not a churchgoer, and it's been a real witness to her the way we do hospitality in quite a relaxed, chill kind of a way. She always thought of it as entertaining, and it's been. It really impacted her to see that it can be done just easily and not in a stressful way. It's really actually, at the end of the day, about creating an environment for deep conversation, for sharing values, for, giving advice to people, encouraging people, supporting them, even modeling marriage to them, modeling family. And perhaps even an opportunity down the line to share the gospel with them.
Yeah.
One last handy hint before I go is, if you're going to be making lots of meals, doing hospitality regularly, I find it really easy just to find one recipe, stick to that, and then whenever people come over, I make the same thing. So for me, it's my easy tray salmon bake. Thank you, Jamie Oliver.
And I love that dish. I have it all the time, but I still love it. So just summarizing today's message, why should we practice hospitality? Well, God has shown us hospitality in the first place. The Bible tells us to practice hospitality. Hospitality is how we show deep love and care for each other. It's a gift of the Holy Spirit. It's for serving others. And again, the most important, it's how God will be glorified through our actions. So who should we invite? Well, strangers with no expectation of reciprocation. Could be from church, could be from your neighborhood, or it could be from the people in need around you, whenever God prompts you. How should we practice hospitality? Well, one way is by praying and planning for it, and the other way is spontaneous, being ready to respond when God prompts. I love the quote by Tim Keller. He says, people are loved towards salvation, not argued or preached towards salvation. At Grace City Church, we want people to feel welcomed, included, and loved. I honestly believe that this is how we will reach our neighborhoods and the city.
Yeah. So our challenge to you today is to simply extend an invitation to someone that you don't know very well. It might feel difficult. Maybe you feel you don't have the gift of hospitality, but just do it. That person will be so blessed, and so will you. I guarantee that. And if you're feeling lonely and perhaps disconnected, especially at this weird COVID time, please be in touch. Call the church office. We would love to be in touch with you and show you some hospitality.
Absolutely. And please don't forget, next weekend, Sunday the 27th, we are meeting in person at the church, and it will be live streamed. But places are limited because of COVID, and so if you can please register your intent to come and let us know if you're coming and your kids, so we know the numbers and we can prepare. So we really look forward to seeing you there.
Look out for the email.
Yes, there'll be more information coming in the week to come. So thanks so much for listening, and hopefully we see you on Sunday.
Bye.